We have with us Ankita Chatterjee, who is currently working as a curriculum development manager at Leeds School. Ankita develops content that includes creating books, workbooks, and teacher and student resources for teaching English. She has previous experience working as a school teacher in Mumbai and then as an ESL teacher in Vietnam. She is driven by her vision to make quality education accessible for all. We have with us Paramita Sen, who is a digital instruction specialist at the Akanksha Foundation. She began her journey as a TFI fellow, Teach for India fellow, and then joined as an assistant school leader. Paramita has been working at the Akanksha Foundation for the last 7 years. We are now ready to begin with our virtual workshop. I would like to now invite Ankita to lead the first half of the session on building relationships with students and sharing with us a few virtual classroom strategies that can be effective for the same. Yes, Ankita.
Thank you, Adi. I'm going to share my screen. Adi, can you see my screen?
Yes.
You can still see it, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to start. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Ankita. I'm currently working as a curriculum developer with Leeds School. So we will be looking at two aspects of online learning. One is relationship building in the virtual world. Um, why should we do it and how we can do it? And then we are going to look at some of the strategies we can use to create an online lesson plan. So why is relationship building important in the virtual world? So firstly, because if there is no trust between the student and the teacher, the student will not learn. It's as simple as that. In a physical classroom, there is a lot of scope to talk to the students, to communicate with them. However, we don't have this option in an online classroom. You are only meeting them for an hour or 30 minutes, not beyond that. So you don't get to know them. Then in a physical classroom, you are also able to judge the students' demeanor by their actions and their conduct. Again, most of our students keep their cameras switched off. You can't they are not always participating very actively either. So again, you miss out on an opportunity there. So it's important to take conscious efforts in the virtual world so that you can build a relationship where they can trust you, where you make them believe that the online world is also a safe space for them. So we look at some of the ways you can do this. So one way of doing this is by doing a temperature check. And I know that in the pandemic world, you'll probably be encouraged to use a thermometer and check their temperature. But what I mean here is just asking them how they are feeling. You don't have to spend a lot of time doing this. You can take just about 30 seconds to about 2 minutes. And you don't have to go about asking each and every student individually. You can ask them to type it on the chat. That's how it can be done in a live classroom, like how I can just ask you to type it in the chat box right now. In if you're using WhatsApp, or if it is asynchronous learning, you can still encourage them to just be mindful of how they are feeling. And if it's over WhatsApp, then you can just simply tell them that beginning of the day, you can tell them how are you feeling and ask them to text back their answers. What's important here is that you should be honest yourself while you're sharing, and you should be setting this example. So don't expect this to work the first day itself, where you ask the students how are you feeling and they'll tell you honestly. They might just say I'm feeling okay, 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 and they might continue doing that. But as and when they hear you and the other people in the group sharing honestly, they'll follow suit. So start by sharing honestly. If you are not feeling happy, no need to tell them you're feeling happy. Tell them that you're feeling angry and maybe give them a reason for it as well. For younger kids, because their cameras are switched on, you can even ask them to show you how they feel. So you can tell them that, okay, if you're feeling happy, then show me happy, show me like a smile. And if they are feeling sad, they can make a face and show you how they're feeling. It can be a really fun activity to get students warmed up as well. But of course, it is going to be different for students who are older. Most of them keep their cameras switched off. So in that case, you can ask them to rate how they are feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. So you can tell them that 1 means feeling stressed, low energy, and 10 is feeling excited, energized. So where would you place your feelings or your emotion on this scale? And they can give you a number. Now, the reason we do this is not to, change the way they are feeling. So if a student is telling you they're stressed, you start probing them and you try to change the way they are feeling. No, that's not the intention here. The intention is for you to know the temperament they are coming to the class with. And secondly, if there are any patterns. So if a student is continuously feeling stressed over 5, 6 days, then you can address it with them individually. So remember, keep it short. This doesn't have to extend beyond 2 minutes. It doesn't have to eat into your teaching time. Keep it very crisp. The reason you are doing this is to check for patterns and know the feelings that the students are coming with into the classroom. The next bit is to get to know your students better. And this ties into an earlier point where I said that you get very limited time to interact with your students. So again, you need to take explicit efforts to get to know what are the cartoon characters that they like. What are some of the games that they are really fond of? What are they watching on TV? What are some of their hobbies? Um, you can do a separate survey for this. Maybe beginning of the week or when you're starting out with your classroom initially, you can spend some time, maybe the entire lesson, just to get to know your students better. But what do you do with that information? You know them, that's great, but use it in your lesson plan as well. Use it in your hook. So if you know that there's a particular cartoon character that they are fond of, you can use a picture of it during your hook and tell them that, okay, write 5 sentences about this. Or if you want to make it a speaking activity, tell them that, tell me 5 things about this. So you can also use it as a reward. You can put that picture on a certificate. So again, reward, you can't give them anything tangible, but you can tell them that you will share a drawing sheet with them at the end of the class that would have their favorite character. Then their parents can print it out if possible. Or maybe you will share a certain comic strip, which you have found out, and as a reward you hand it out to them. So you do, again, like, you don't have to do this at the start of every class. Doing it once every month or at the beginning of the class is all right. And this is something that can be done in asynchronous and synchronous environments. The next bit is about collecting feedback about how your lessons are and how students are liking them. So again, with older students, you can directly ask them, and you can ask them things like, which activity did you like the most? We did this grammar activity for the first time. Would you like to do this more often? If you think your students can't give you feedback like this, ask them to rate it. So you tell them that, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, rate this grammar activity that I conducted. 5 being very interesting and 1 being not very interesting. For younger students, you'll have to rely on the feedback you get from the parents. But the questions more or less remain the same. So feedback will help you make your lesson plans better. And there is another thing that it does. So once you incorporate that feedback into your lesson plan and you start addressing it by, say, you tell the students that, students, you really enjoyed the grammar activity. I got to know that. So if you all finish your homework on Friday, we will do 15 minutes worth of grammar activity. So you're making it a sort of a reward, but you're also telling them that you're listening to their feedback. This also makes the student believe that they have a stake in their learning, that if something is not working, their teacher will adapt the plan accordingly. And again, that goes a long way in building that relationship we are talking about. And lastly, don't give up. All these methods that we spoke about, it will take time to show results. um, in a physical environment also, building relationship takes a lot of time. You need to take conscious efforts. In the virtual world, there are even more challenges, because there is that barrier. You can't connect with students as easily, you can't connect with them outside of class. It's difficult, but our students really need it. They need functional relationships, they need relationships where they can trust the other person, where they can rely on them. So don't give up, keep trying. So that brings us to the next section, which is around classroom strategies. I'm not going to deep dive into each of these because you might have already been using them in a physical classroom. I'm just going to reiterate it and maybe suggest some alternatives. So, one of the things that is important to keep in mind here is that you might have had a set of rules that worked for you in the physical classroom, but it is very important to have another set of rules that the students can easily follow in the virtual world as well. So, some of the examples you can see here, I've put it down. So, respect everyone, do not interrupt anyone. You might have seen instances where students are interrupting each other. Um, then, another thing is students are naturally curious about the new technology features, so they'll come on Zoom and they want to try all these different emoticons and they will type in the chat box unnecessarily. So set a rule, set an expectation, tell them that this is not okay, that they should only type when the teacher is telling them to do so. Then again, regarding unmuting, tell them the protocol there. Use the opportunity in the rules section to address some of the unruly behavior that you have noticed. Don't chuck out this section. This is very important. Initially, setting up the rules will take longer. It will maybe take you 10 minutes in the class time, but over time, it will reduce to maybe 5 minutes. And then as in how students get familiarized with it, it will just take you 2 minutes. Then another thing that ties into the rules is the classroom management system. So what are the rewards? You have set the rules, but if someone is following the rules, what do they get? Now again, there are no tangibles here. In a physical classroom, you give them a high five, you give them a pat on the back, or maybe you're someone you distribute sweets sometimes, but you can't do any of that now. So here are some examples. These are some things that I used with my students. So I'll show you some of these. All right. Can you all see this?
Yes.
All right. So this is a website called Class Dojo. It is absolutely free. All you need to do is create an email ID and put in some details regarding your class. So as you can see, I've already created my students. They have these cute monsters. And it's very easy to track the points. So say Paromita did the task really well. So I click on her name. I click on task. And did you hear that sound? That can be very, very fascinating for younger students. So they get very excited when they get points. This can also work for the older students. It will not be met with as much excitement, but here's a way to track points. So whenever they are doing something as per the rules, or they're answering well, then you can give them a point here. So you give them points here, but how do they translate into rewards? So one is, this website itself gives you the option of changing these monsters. So you can say, okay, whoever gets the highest number of points will get to choose the monster that they want to be. Now, again, this is something that works well for the younger kids. Something for students who are, say, from classes 3 to 5, I have used something known as this called Make a Pizza. This is again a reward system. So I choose 3 to 5 students who've scored the highest, and I tell them that now they can create a pizza. And they tell me that, okay, I want to add tomato sauce, I want to add cheddar cheese, they can add meats, they can add veggies, and they are essentially creating their own pizza. This is happening at the very end of the class, remember. So it's not chewing into any crucial time from your lesson. There is another website, but it's not working today. And it works really well for older kids, so your high school children. It's called Incredibox. So I believe this presentation will be shared with you, so you can look it up online. It's not working right now, it's showing me an error, so I won't be able to show it to you. I'm very sorry about that. But here, basically, what you can do in Incredibox is you can assign a sound to each character, and at the end of it, there's a tune that forms. So it's again something very cool for the students. Then checks for understanding. Again, I'm sure you all are using this and you use it extensively, but more so in an online environment because internet connections are not stable. So you need to know that whatever instruction you're giving to the student, they are understanding it 100% what it is. And instead of asking a very general, does everyone understand this? Aap sabko samajh aaya? And students give you a thumbs up. It's better to ask more specific questions. Like you have given them an instruction. So now you ask them, okay, what steps will you follow to do this activity? How much time do you have to complete this? Will you look for the answer online? Students can answer in yes or no. Then we have our screen breaks and energizers. This is not like your regular break that happens between two classes. So I believe when they are shifting from one class to another, there is a short break that happens there. But this is different from that. This is a screen break and an energizer at the same time, which lasts anywhere between 30 seconds to 1 minute. No longer than that, because their attention will start to waver. But if you do this correctly, you'll notice that they are more attentive to your lessons. So some examples are, they can close their eyes and take 5 deep breaths, then rotate eyes in all directions. These are just things that they can do for their basic eye health. But you're making this a part of your lesson plan because you understand that they spend a lot of time looking at the screen, and it is harmful for them and it leads to fatigue as well. So their attention will waver. So including this will just ensure that students are 100% paying attention to your class. Again, I'd like to reiterate, don't spend longer than 30 seconds to 1 minute doing this. Something that would work really well for the younger kids is just to tell them to stand up, walk around the room for 10 seconds. So you can tell them, I'm going to count down from 10, and they have to come back and sit. I highly recommend you doing this. All right, so that brings us to our demo lesson plan. So we thought we'll show you some of these activities in practice. And for that, I'm going to act like a teacher. And my students will be Adlina, Aishwarya, and Paromita. While you're watching this demo mini presentation, there are two things you can make a note of. One, what are some strategies that you liked? What were some parts of the lesson that you liked? And what do you think could be better here? So just make a note of those and we'll get started. Adi, Aishwarya, and Paromita, are you guys ready?
Yes, Didi.
Very good. Awesome. All right, class, welcome. We are going to start the class by sharing how we are feeling. So you can see all these emoticons. You can either choose from these or you can tell me any other word about how you are feeling. But first, I'm going to share. I am feeling very happy because I ate a yummy lunch. So now you have to tell me how you are feeling. You can choose any of the words here, but you have to keep two things in mind. You will not unmute yourself and shout your answer. You will type your answer. But when will you type your answer? I will say 1, 2, 3, go. And then you will type your answer. Okay, Addy, can you tell me, will you shout your answer?
No, you
Okay, very
not say the answer.
okay, Addy, I couldn't hear you very clearly. Aishwarya, can you tell me, will you shout out the answer?
Your voice was breaking. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Oh, okay, great, great. All right. I'm saying, can you tell me, will you shout out the answer?
Excited.
Will you shout out the answer or will you type it?
I will shout out the answer.
No, you will type your answer. You don't have to shout it out.
Okay.
Okay? Yes. And Paromita, when will you type your answer?
When Didi will show 1, 2, 3, go, that is the time I'll go ahead and type my answer.
Yes, very good. So remember these two things. I will say 1, 2, 3, go, and you will type your answer. You will not unmute yourself and shout. All right. So get your hands on the keyboard and you have to type it. 1, 2, 3, go. All right. I can see Goofy, excited, happy. Awesome. Very good, everyone. Now we look at the rules. We have 4 rules in this classroom and all the rules are important. So firstly, you will use the chat box wisely. You will not type on the chat box, "Hi Didi, how are you?" Or you will not chat with your friends. So Adlina, you will not say to Aishwarya, "How are you, Aishwarya? I am good. What did you eat for lunch?" No. You will only type when I tell you to do so. Next, you will raise your hand if you have a question. If you have your cameras on, you can show me your hand like this, and I will call your name and tell you to ask me the question. You can also use this feature on Zoom and raise hand. It will come on your screen. Again, I will call your name and you can ask me the question. Next, eyes and ears on screen. Don't let anything distract you. Tell your parents to talk to you after the class. And lastly, be respectful. Don't say mean words and do not interrupt anyone. Okay, everyone. So quickly, we are going to do this activity, which is true or false. So if the statement that I show you is true, you will stand up. If it is false, you will sit down. Adlina, what will you do if the statement is true?
Maybe I don't know. I was talking to my mom.
So Aishwarya, was Adlina following the rule?
No, teacher, she was.
No. Yes. So you have to keep your eyes and ears on the screen at all the time. Adlina, if next time you don't follow the rule, then I will have to cut your point. Okay. So if the statement is true, you have to stand up. And if it is false, what will you do, Aishwarya?
Then sit down.
Yes. Okay. So let's quickly do this activity. Pandas eat 5 kgs of bamboo per day. If it is true, stand up. If you think it's false, keep sitting. Okay, Adlina has stood up. Let's see the answer. Oh, it is false. Good job, Aishwarya and Paromita. Pandas actually eat 12 to 38 kgs of bamboo per day. Okay, the next one. Giant pandas are good at climbing trees and can also swim. True or false? You can keep sitting down or you can stand up. Okay, I can see Adelina is standing up. Very good. Okay, Paramita is also standing up, but Aishwarya is sitting down. Okay, so Aishwarya, it's actually true. Pandas are really good at climbing trees and they can swim very well. So, all right, students, that brings us to the end of our class. Thank you for listening. All right, so that's the end of the mini demo presentation. I tried to showcase some of the strategies that we discussed, but of course, it will look very different depending on your lesson plan and the time you have to teach it, and also the age group. So make sure that that you're aware of that and you're incorporating it as appropriate. But also, I would like to leave it on this note that consistency is very important. It plays a key role. You cannot bring a new routine on one day and say that it didn't work really well, so I'm not going to try it. Give it at least a week to 10 days. And then, if it doesn't show results, then look at changing it and try to think why it's not working before you change it. So any activity that you introduce to the students, it's not going to show overnight results. It will take time. So keep with it. And that brings me to an end. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ankita, for a beautiful demonstration, role play, and your inputs on classroom management for both synchronous and asynchronous learning systems. If you have any questions, the attendees can share in the chat box and she'll address it in the final 10 minutes of the event for the Q&A. I would like to now invite Paramita to lead the second half of our session on the technologies that have helped Akanksha Foundation with the virtual model of education. So Paramita, thank you so much. You can lead the second half.
Thank you, Ankita. I think it was really engaging to hear the relationship building, which is extremely important in virtual world and tough though, and as well as so many strategies, the pedagogy of teaching and learning in the classroom. So I will be talking more around the teaching and learning at Akanksha using technology. So Addy, just let me know when you can see my screen. Is it visible?
You can see your screen now.
Yeah, okay, just give me a second. You can still see my screen, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. So before I jump into any discussion around teaching and learning using technology, we will actually use an application called Mentimeter, and you all have to just put in two apps, which you have used extensively last year. कोई भी दो एप्स जो आप लोग ने बहुत ज्यादा यूज किया है, आप वो Mentimeter में आप डालना है. I'm going to share the link in the chat. It's very simple. आप जब just उस पर click कीजिए and you will be directed by the application. Yeah, go ahead, click on the link. I put it in the chat, and you just have to write two applications which you have used a lot in the pandemic area 2020-21. So as you type, I will be able to see on my Mentimeter screen that आप लोग ने क्या type किया है. So go ahead, I can see people already here. That's great. 2 people are already there. I want to see 70 of you on this. So please click on the link. 5 of you, great. Zoom, Google Meet coming up as 2 predominant ones. Instagram, great. Instagram is a great way of teaching and learning also. WhatsApp, taking the first position. You can put it on the Mentimeter link. It's also a great app to get what the kids are thinking in the class. We have 23 people, another 20 seconds for everyone. Diksha, we have YouTube, we have Instagram, Google Meet, Zoom is dominating the sheet. We have Google Meet, Google Task, 29 people engaging with us. You can continue doing that, but I can see 3 big pieces coming out from here. That's WhatsApp, Zoom, and Google Meet. And we will definitely talk about all these applications in depth as we go forward in the discussion today. Just give me a second. Okay. So today in the next 15 to 20 minutes, I will be talking about Akanksha's context. It's extremely important to understand where is Akanksha and then understanding what it is trying to do with technology. The second is how do we perceive technology at Akanksha? The third is our journey with virtual learning. And the fourth is the future. What is Akanksha thinking to do in the future? These are the 4 segments I'm going to just talk about today. In case you need more guidance on a particular app or anything, definitely connect for, and they can just give my details and we can just talk over these applications. So just understanding Akanksha's context. Akanksha has 21 schools across Bombay and Pune. It's a chain of schools. We have 575 educators teaching KG to grade 10th and almost close to 10,000 students we are catering in the low income background areas, correct? This is the scenarios of Akanksha. So whatever I'm going to talk is suiting this situation. So let's see how Akanksha is looking at technology, and it's very interesting. And this is a very new area we have just delved into. So over here, if you see, जब technology नहीं था, so we had pedagogy, how of teaching, and content, what of teaching. And we used to emphasize a lot on content and pedagogy. कि एक teacher को आना चाहिए, classroom strategies, culture building, content, science, math, and all. But a new piece has come into the entire picture, that is technology. And in Akanksha, हम technology को अलग से नहीं देखते हैं. It is a part of this entire circle. And what Akanksha is really trying to do is the yellow, the yellow bit at the center is trying to reach the amalgamation, जहाँ पे तीनों चीज मिलते हैं. A teacher needs to be an expert of pedagogy, content, and technology. Then only the teacher can really deliver a good lesson in the class. And that's that understanding. So in any session we take, we talk about all these 3 pieces in separation as well as togetherness. So this is the picture with which Akanksha is really focusing forward. So just to depict it in a form of a picture, एक घर है, and the base is technology, pedagogy, and content. We really want to build the strong understanding of these 3 parts to actually reach the vision and goals. So I'm sure कि आपके organization के vision और goals पहुंचने के लिए you have some roots. And for Akanksha, it is teaching, content, and technology. So technology is a part of the process, not a separate piece in itself. So let's see how our virtual learning journey started 1 year back in the pandemic. So in 2020-21, we all started, in the month of March, we were all clueless, But before I jump into anything, would love you people to write in the chat, what do you mean by synchronous and asynchronous learning? अगर आपको पता है ये synchronous बहुत बार use होता है, synchronous learning, asynchronous learning. So can you quickly put it in the chat, इनका मतलब क्या है? You have 30 seconds to do it. I'm going to see the chat. What is synchronous and what is asynchronous? I can see already. Thank you for putting the question. And it's okay if you can write it, I don't know, that's also fine, no problem. But would love to hear from the audience that what do you really mean by synchronous and asynchronous learning? In sync, not in, okay, so means in line. I don't know, no problem, that's great, you're acknowledging that. Others, group learning and individual learning, good try. Giving another 10 seconds for people who want to just try it out. Live or offline, very close. Amalgamation of all the 3s, okay. I don't know, no problem. So very, very simple. अभी हम लोग call पे है. ऑडियंस और स्पीकर साथ में काम कर रहे, करेक्ट? टीचर एंड स्टूडेंट्स आर एट द सेम पेस ऑन द ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म. You can ask me any question and I can reply. This is called synchronous, correct? At the same time. Asynchronous is the teacher ने बोला कि please read this article and tomorrow we will discuss. तो बच्चे अपने पेस पे at their own time they can read the article and come back. That is asynchronous. Okay, different time and same time. Synchronous means same time like we are doing right now, and asynchronous is different times. Teacher and students are learning at a different pace. Students अपना पढ़ेगा अपने time पे and teacher will communicate it tomorrow. So this is the basic difference between synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. So even in our organization, we made these two terms very, very clear so that we could give specific strategies for it. So we thought before giving applications, कौन सा app use करना है, we thought let's divide it into 3 parameters. Logistical communication, like आज class है या नहीं है, when to come for the class, all of those, उसके लिए कौन से platform use करेंगे. Teaching communication platform, what are the platforms to teach, and assessment platform. Very important is assessment. You know, and people really struggle during this time. How do we take assessments? CFUs. So this is how we structured when we were talking about applications and training our teachers on it. So this was done in 2020-21. The first hit कि हम कैसे teachers को सिखाएंगे. So we segregated the entire division from K to 10 into K to 2, grade K to 2, grade 3 to 6, and 7 to 10. Yeah. You may ask a question that why did you do so? Correct? Excuse me. K to 2. So there are 2-3 things we kept in mind. One is developmental stages of a child. How much screen time, how much they can take in, how their brains function, and all of those. The second thing is the device availability. Are the devices actually available, not available? So for 7th to 10th, we had few devices available and email IDs also available. And the third is parental intervention. For K to 2, we need a high amount of parent intervention, their phones. 3 to 6 mein thoda sa kam, and 7 to 10 students can study at their own pace. So based on that, we divided K to 2, 3 to 6, and 7 to 10. I'm going to give a small example of logistical communication platform. Both synchronous and asynchronous, we divided it into 2 parts. So for synchronous, Zoom call kar sakte ho, telephonic conversation, WhatsApp call. Same thing goes for 3 to 6, and 7 to 10, we have added something called Google Meet. Because they have the email IDs, it was easy for them to join Google Meet calls. Asynchronous WhatsApp messages, and for 7th to 10th we had emails also, because we really wanted our kids to be really good at emailing people. So we had a rule in all our 7 to 10 classes that if you are taking a leave, please write an email to your principal. So they actually learned how to write emails, and that was very, very interesting. Yeah, so this is an example, and you can take a look at it or take a screenshot of it and keep it with you. This was done in 2020-21, and that was the first stepping stone where we were understanding what works, what doesn't work. Yeah, and you will see what we have done changes this year. Yeah, and I'll share the link with you. So some few teaching communication platforms. For asynchronous, asynchronous means student and teacher are not online at the same time. So we use something called Learning Management System, Edmodo, and Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you how Google Classroom looks like. And they're all free of cost, okay? Over here, most of the applications are free of cost because Akanksha is at NGO. We don't have so much money to purchase so many applications. So we went with all the free of cost applications. So I will show you how Google Classroom looks like. It's actually fascinating if you have never used Google Classroom before. This is how classes are formed. So you will see different classes, Reshma Didi's class, Isam Bhaiya's class, all different classes are there. So I'm going to open one class. So it's interesting to see there are class work. Just give me a second. So their class work, you will see different chapters which are given to students to study. So you will see different subjects. This is geography. You will see the number of students and teachers in this class. Can you see the number of students in this class? And you can also see the grades, you know. It is populated in a form of a sheet. Kitna marks mila unko for every objective. And that's extremely interesting to see and to take it forward. This is a great application which we use across Akanksha. Zoom, Google Meet, as these were the two major applications which were used, and I'm sure you know them. Edmodo is very similar to Google Classroom again. Yeah, so these are some teaching communication platforms over here. So as we go forward on this, we see some assessment platforms now. All of them are free of cost, so don't worry ki paisa lagega, nahi lagega. Obviously with few limited features. So in Padlet, you're allowed to make 6 Padlets, and after that you can edit those or delete those and make a new one. Mentimeter, we just used it with you all today. But this is a great application which you can try, and Google Forms, I think, the most popular ones, and every one of you are using Google Form. So in Akanksha from K to 10, everybody, every teacher, every student are pro at these 4 applications. So now let's see year 2 mein kya hua. Yeah, this year 2021-22, what we were really trying to achieve. Most of the things remain the same, but one thing came, this blue color came into the picture. And what is this blue color? Basically, we felt that students should be co-owners in the education process. It shouldn't be one person teaching and the other person receiving. So we thought product creation by student as one extremely important thing in the entire picture. Yeah, product creation by students over here. And I'll show you some applications which can really help them. But now see, the picture from what we saw in 2020-21 has changed little bit. And I'm going to share the link with you all. The major changes are that we have just divided into 4 different buckets. It was 3 initially, now it is 4. And it is done based on the national education policy, which came out in July last year. So based on that, we have divided into different grade buckets. So what I will do, you know, it's very important for all of you to see how it looks like. I'm going to share the link in the chat. You take 1 minute to go through it. It's quite interesting to see actually. Just take 1 minute to go through this link. Just tell me, Adi, if you can open the link. Adi, can you see the link? Can you open the link? And is it working?
Okay. It's loading.
Okay. So
Yeah,
all of you
it's
can,
PDF file, right?
yeah, all of you can take 45 seconds, just glance through it. It's a detailed document. आप अपने pace पे देख सकते हो. So no worries on that, but just go through it at your own pace. Yeah, it has all the applications grade wise. Last 20 seconds. And if you have any questions around this, put it in the chat. We can take it later. So this is an extensive list which we have researched over the period of last 6-7 months. And this is a consolidated list which we have come across. Going forward, you can take a look at it at your own pace. Don't worry. So these are some new applications which we came to know and really saw students using it so well. In short, X Recorder, the most famous one for students. कोई भी phone पे ये काम करता है. It's actually used for students to demonstrate their learning and present it in the class. Wakelet is a great application for teachers. आप कभी-कभी देखते हो asynchronous में messages पे messages, links पे links आते जाते हैं phone पे, and kids get very confused कि ये क्या हो रहा है. Wakelet is a free app where all the links can be consolidated together and given it to students. Yeah, Screencast-O-Matic or Loom, these are 2 great applications where you can record the screen with your face. The students feel a very personalized feeling when they see the videos. Very good for asynchronous learning. WordWall, again, a brilliant app. Nearpod is a little expensive app, and which we are thinking of purchasing this year as an organization. But this is an app which has multiple things in it in one package. Yeah, so these are some new applications which we thought should definitely be brought in the recommended apps for Akanksha this year. Going forward, some subject applications which we use in Akanksha is in English, Read Along, Google Bolo for Hindi Marathi also, and Raz Kids. Raz Kids is a purchasable app. We have purchased this to improve the reading and comprehension at Akanksha. In maths, we have Khan Academy, absolutely free of cost and amazing application. And Matific is again for younger grades. We are choosing this, and it's a paid application. Yeah. So Raz Kids and Matific are two conscious decisions we are thinking to purchase at Akanksha this year. But rest all of them are free applications. Something which we kept in mind when we were actually thinking of training teachers on application. One is teaching a few applications. दो से 3 applications सिखाओ and make them a master of it. Don't teach them 100 applications. And don't push a teacher to use 10 applications in one class. One application and you should be a master of it. Second, detailed features of an application. Whichever applications you are teaching, Padlet, teach them all the features of Padlet so that they can choose which features should be used where in the class. Third, features are aligned to a skill. Say for example, Mentimeter, I used a word cloud. I actually wanted to start the class by knowing that how many of you have used which apps and which apps are really popular in the market. So I know that I have to use WordWall to get your knowledge in the session. And the fourth is extremely important. Push your teachers to share what they are doing and have a space for that in the entire zone. We do a lot of this and most of our learning comes from our teachers. So this is it. Going forward, we are thinking to start with blended learning in Akanksha. And that's why we are focusing a lot on technology development at Akanksha. And you can read about blended learning at your own pace. I'm not going to push that right now, but just letting you know that this is how we are going to go ahead in the future. That's all from my side. Thank you. In case you have any questions, just put down it in the chat and we can answer. Thank you. Over to you. Ishwarya.
Hi.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, so we can start with question and answers. So if you have any specific questions, please put it in the chat box so we can ask our speakers.
I think we've received 2 questions already, so maybe we could address that. So one of the questions was how to engage learners through online classes, and we received this before the webinar started. So I hope your question has been answered. We have tried a lot of these strategies, Paramita and I, and that's why we come with a little bit of experience. None of what we shared with you all was just copy pasted. So I recommend that you try some of these and see how they work for your classroom. And the other question was,
We have
how?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. So
Yeah.
we have one more question, that is how pre-primary kid will type the answer as they are learning.
Yes, so with pre-primary kids, I think it can be the same way it is in a classroom. You don't expect them to write anything. You can teach them though. So it's okay if they can't write, but they can be given a code. So for example, if you want to ask them what is your favorite color, and you display different colors on the screen, and you give each color a number. So 1 becomes pink, 2 becomes black, 3 becomes yellow, and so on. So here, when you ask the student, what is your favorite color? They don't have to spell it out and say PINK. They can simply just click on one and you'll have the answer. So that's one way of it. But I would also recommend, like, if it is your pre-primary class, get them to speak, because they can't write. Use that opportunity to just let them speak. If you can't let all of the kids share during that section, maybe just a few of them, if they can share, that is all right as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, Ankita, and Paramita. So we covered up the first question regarding pre-primary students. Another question that came up was that what is the context and the background of the children and students at Akanksha in regard to access to technology with PCs and email addresses?
Can you come again with the question?
Yes. So what is the context and the background information of the children and the students at Akanksha in regard to access to technology?
Yeah, so they're all from low income background. Yeah, and their average family income is around 3,000 to 10,000 per month. Yeah, so they don't have access, so they did not have access to technology or any devices in the first 1 month. We were really struggling. We actually wanted to ask for donations. We got a lot of secondhand phones for them. Till September, we went ahead with that. After that, we actually went ahead and purchased 1,500 Lenovo tablets for grade 7th to 10th, because they are the most, like the most prime thing, prime age where they're going to step into colleges, and they really need to learn technology well to cope up with the outside world. And we thought it's 10 standards, so high focus on board exams, and their education should go ahead. So we went ahead with Lenovo tablets. And if anybody wants to know what kind of Lenovo tablets and the configuration, do reach out to me and I can give you all the details. If that's allowed by Akanksha, I'll definitely do that. Yeah. And they have email IDs. Especially we thought we will give email IDs to only students above 13 years so that they really understand how to use Akanksha's email ID. There are a lot of ethical issues and a lot of things which we need to keep in mind when we give email IDs which has Akanksha in it. So anybody below the age of 13, we don't give email IDs. We're trying to avoid that. Anybody above 13 years, they have email IDs at 7th standard onwards. So they step into 12, 13 years after that. So that's how we are going ahead, so that they take full responsibility of how they are using their email IDs.
Thank you, Paramita. The next question, it's been asked twice by two different attendees. It's about engaging learners during online classes. How do we kind of like make it less monotonous? How can we add an excitement into the classroom? Anyone can take it forward.
I can take it forward. What I have seen, it is extremely difficult. Okay, whoever is asking this question, I have taught myself to experience how it looks like, how it feels like. It is extremely difficult. You need to come up with new ideas. Planning needs to be to the tip. You should have a backup plan for every single stuff. It is difficult, but once you get a hang of it, it is really simple. So like Padlet and Mentimeter were two applications which I used continuously for 2 months, and my students were pro at it. The first day, it took 20 minutes to get on my students onboarded on Padlet, but after that it was like very quick. I should get responses very quickly on Padlet, and Padlet became a very good platform for communication and collaboration with students, and they loved it. Second, breakout rooms. We have breakout rooms in every class where they get to talk to their friends, and that's why they come to the class. That aaj to mujhe baat karne ko milega Aishwarya se. So they're very happy about it. So these are two techniques which has worked fantastic in my class. So yeah, there are multiple others, but just top of my mind.
All right. I guess that is all that we have. We do have a question on Padlet though. But would you like to kind of elaborate on that particular application?
Yeah. So I can show you Padlet if that's okay.
That works.
Yeah. I will just share my screen and show them Padlet. So I'm just going to open Padlet. You can put it on your on the web bar, that padlet.com. This is my Padlet. So there are different kinds of Padlet, okay? Based on what is the objective of your class, you can make different Padlets. Now, because I made 6, it is asking me to purchase. That's what I told you. So like, for example, I'm going to show you one Padlet which I made 13 days back. Just showing you. It's a very easy platform. Once you actually start using it, you will realize how easy it is. It's just taking time to load, but till that time I can talk. It has different ways of creating Padlets. Different features it gives you to create Padlet. It gives you to actually share those Padlets with your students and co-teachers. You can join another's Padlet and write your stuff. You can make folders for different subjects. It's 95 rupees per month, so not very expensive also. So like this, if you see, I have 6 groups in my class. Each group, they join the Padlet link, so I can share the link from here, share. So I get the code, I send it to my students, they join, they don't need email IDs, nothing. So it can be used from any grade, for any grade, KG to 10 standard. And people can enter the class and they write down their thoughts under each group. So I can actually analyze which group is talking about what and bring those into the discussion forum. So there are different templates like this for you to use in your class based on your objective of your class. I hope that helps.
Yes. Ankita, would you like to add in your inputs regarding engaging learners?
Right. So I think I stand by what Paromita said, in the sense that I understand the struggle that comes with it. It is extremely difficult. You cannot see their faces in most of the cases, and they don't always engage. So it might happen that you plan a very interesting lesson and it crashes because nobody answered. I think it's important to create certain structures. So like Paromita mentioned that, she uses Menti and Padlets quite a lot. But to get to that place where students were efficient with it would have taken some time. So stay with it. So whatever new engaging technique you get to know of, or maybe some technique that you're going to pick up from this session, give time to yourself and your students to get used to it.
Thank you so much, Ankita and Paramita. We can now conclude by thanking both our speakers, Paramita and Ankita. We have gathered excellent insights today. And thank you everyone for joining us for the session and for being a wonderful audience. I request you to please fill the feedback form, as will help us to create many more sessions like these. My team member Shwarya will be sharing the link to the form with you all in the chat box shortly. As mentioned earlier, if you have any questions that are remained unanswered in the session, please put in your queries on the feedback form, and we can request our speakers to answer the questions via email. Also, we hope to see you all for a webinar on renewal of income tax registrations for NGOs. For all our partner and non-partner NGOs that Connect for, the event is scheduled for Saturday, 19th of June. The details again will be shared with you via the chat box. Thank you so much, everyone, Ankita, Paramita, and all the best. And we see you all soon. Take care.